Hi, you guys. Thank you for being here with me. If you don't know me, I'm Jill and I'm the homeschool mom to a fourth grader. After I did my video on my 2024-2025 curriculum picks, I got a lot of comments and specifically a couple of questions on how do I fit it all in, because it really was a lot. I showed you guys a lot. So I'll flip you around and we can see how it works. I guess what I should do is show you what we've already done. And I'll start with our attendance sheet. This is something that's mandatory in North Dakota, but I would do it anyway because this helps me. And I like to be able to visualize. So I color coded and put a key on my attendance sheet so you could see the active days or the full school days, the days that we took off and why. And here I just have a day off, either planned or unplanned, it doesn't matter. And then the ones that are just blank are the weekends. And then here's our idea of summer school. But if you see here, let's see, we're on this day, or we're on the weekend here. Today's the 14th. And I'm at day 166 with Morgan. North Dakota requires 175. So just by virtue of where we are and what we've done and where we started, we will finish or can finish the school year in 10 days from now on the 25th of April. We won't finish on that day. We're not finished, or we can be, that would be fine. We are technically many days ahead of where one might normally think they should be because of what we've done and how much we do in the day. What I like to stress here, I think, is we didn't take any breaks at all here, as you can see. I don't think this was a mistake looking back. We just didn't need a break. It was new to us, homeschooling, and we were enjoying learning and we were enjoying the new pace and being at home. And we just didn't have any sort of burnout at all. In fact, we didn't feel like we needed a break until spring break. And it's here where we realize we were tired. So we were tired and we could have done with a break probably a month earlier, probably around here in February, where we had a day off and we could have taken more off. Lesson learned, right? But another lesson I learned is that I would really like it if we don't need a break next year throughout this entire semester, because I am really enjoying the breaks that we can have here. And I feel like we are very accomplished. We have done what we've wanted. We've done what we've needed. There were a few loose ends, but it doesn't matter. They don't matter to us because we've still completed all of our requirements plus more. And the things that we didn't get to were just extra stuff. I didn't know how many of whatever I should buy. For instance, the Good and the Beautiful weather unit. We didn't even get to it. But we fulfilled our requirements, and it's okay that we didn't get to it. So in that regard, just because we didn't do it doesn't mean that we're behind. So what I'd like to do is, you see off to just barely you can read order from Stafford. So we were going to test. Is it the Stafford or the Stanford? It's the Stanford 10. Morgan wants to test. So this is my week, this coming week, to remind myself to order the testing. And then we will do the testing likely here. I want to get in the habit of testing almost the last week of school, just like university, just like anything else where testing is done and then you take a break. This is the plan, and then here's where we'll begin to wrap up. I want to leave some room for finishing maybe some history that we might want to finish, or a book that we might want to finish, or some art projects, and then cleaning up our spaces and putting everything away. But this kind of gives you an idea, and I like this here. This is School Nest, and I actually recreated this in my book that I'm doing for myself next year. And I recreated it because I really like the number count, the total on the bottom, so I know each month how many days we've completed and where we are, so that there's no question about where we are at any given time. This helps me with the idea of keeping on whatever kind of track, whatever a track is. I like to see that we have been at school and that we're fulfilling our learning desires, because we're really enjoying the learning. Here I keep the book list. This is where I can see all of the stuff that we've read, that Morgan's reading. Here's our shared reading. This is Morgan's self-reading. And then here's her poetry memorization. We've stopped at 13. We've taken a break. We were going to do, let's see, I think Morgan had added on Ecclesiastes. For everything there's a season, but we fizzled out on that, and that's all right. I'm fine with doing that, and then she can come at it again later. But I also want to do something different for poetry next year as well, and it won't only include poetry memorization, but she's becoming increasingly interested in writing her own poetry as well. And so I want to make sure I take time for that and not just focus on memorizing other people's poems, but allowing Morgan to create them on her own as well. And then the read alouds, the books that I read to her. And you'll see it's all interspersed. I mean, it's a whole just wacky arrangement of whatever. There's no rhyme, reason, or theme to it. And that's fine too, because it's reading. What I will probably do is there's a lot of books that we want to kind of finish up. And then I've got a lot of literature that you would have seen in a couple of my past videos. And I really want to hit the read alouds with classics, books that Morgan can't read on her own, but that she can comprehend if read to her. I want to put them there and focus on there. So here is how I know what we're doing and if I know we are where we need to be. You'll see here we started with Saxon 3. Almost, let's see, we got to lesson 93. I don't know why we didn't do lesson 90. I don't know why that's... But we got to 93 and then we transitioned to Saxon 5-4. I like this to be sort of like a journal or so that I could use it for memories later. I want to keep this and be able years later to look back and see what it is that we did and why we did it. And here on the 16th of October, we moved to Saxon 5-4. And let's see, because I hadn't planned on that, the 5-4 would have been here. So we did Saxon 5-4 up to the 23rd lesson and then moved to Math UC in November. For this period of time, we were actually doing Math UC concurrently in the same day. So Morgan would do Saxon 5-4 with me in the morning, and then for her quiet study, she would have Math UC pages because we were trying to fill in gaps. But I formally moved her. This didn't take long because I formally moved her in November to Math UC. One thing that I never brought up was Saxon 5-4 quickly became a problem because there was nowhere on the page for Morgan to do her schoolwork, and she needed to transpose the problems onto paper. And for a little kid and their little hands, that was a problem. And she became tired just by writing it. And it's not a writing class, it's a math class. And so that was becoming a problem as well, where I was beginning to recreate the page and write them in my own handwriting and give her space. So that in itself was sort of going to not work eventually. But we do love Saxon 5-4 is a great program. And then so Math UC, and I had already had Math UC here. Let's see. Oh, was I on that page? So Math UC here. And I didn't know how to fill this out because one lesson is multiple pages, maybe 7 or 8 pages. And so this means that we have completed the lesson. So we might have done 3 pages, we might have done 7 pages, we might have done 4 pages. It doesn't matter. We completed the lesson. So I didn't keep track of exactly how many we did. It just is, well, I did. It's in a binder, but it doesn't matter for these purposes. We went through Alpha, and these are the lessons that she did. And then she zipped across just visually, she looked at these and said, I don't need to do those, which she didn't. She didn't need to do them, and she didn't do them. And then she did 25 through 29. And I don't think we did 30 because we went straight into beta, Math UC beta. And then here, in this case for beta, Morgan did every single lesson, but not every page in the lesson, but she did complete it. And then we have just finished Gamma. She did a lot here. She did nearly the whole book here. And so she did all 30 lessons here. And now I've got a new spot for Delta, and Delta we will begin. So here's a lesson for me and something for me to keep in mind and wrap my mind around is that we were far behind in many cases with math, and we did not rush. We just didn't rush. But she did a ton of math. I mean, I measure math in inches now. It's just unbelievable how many pages she did and how much she's learned. It really is something that she has kept in her mind, that she continues to practice, that she just increasingly likes math. I didn't want to burn her out, but I knew that I needed to get her to a certain place in order for her to not hate math. I wanted her to fill in these gaps and become confident so that she could like a subject that is very interesting and she shouldn't be intimidated by. So I like to be able to see that we did Saxon 3, that we started 5-4 and didn't finish. And then here also, we started with Life of Fred this year. We really like it. It's just a little bit too wordy for us at this moment. And at the time, Morgan was also practicing reading, and the reading along with the math was a bit of a bridge too far. So I just stopped the Life of Fred and separated out the reading and the math so we could just focus. If we had struggles in math, we didn't have struggles in math and reading at the same time. And that can be a problem if you have a struggle in math and reading. Life of Fred can be difficult in that regard. But the story and the concepts, the way the author explains them, are really quite good. Okay, so here we have grammar and grammar. We do fix-it grammar and also well-trained mind grammar. And this is what I teach, and this is what Morgan does on her own. We've recently stopped here since we bought the purple book. I kind of feel like we're done with this portion until next year. Morgan is trucking along with her fix-it grammar, and we'll probably continue to do a page a day. We'll probably drop down actually to, let's go to attendance. We'll probably drop down to 4-day school weeks because we're so far ahead. So we might just do Monday through Thursday now, and then go hiking and swimming and do some other fun things on Friday, as opposed to staying inside, because it's really hard to keep a kid inside when the snow melts here in North Dakota. And I like that because we went heavy here, we really can do that if we want. We're not behind where we have to say, oh, we need a break, but we can't take a break. So she will probably continue on with fix-it grammar until the end. I think she's nearly done. I'm not sure how many more, but she's done 120 lessons. And we stopped at 51. We're not going to let go of the book. We'll just pick it back up when we want to and drop the well-trained mind to maybe 1 to 2 days a week. We've been doing 3 for a while and then 2. And now we've put a pause on that. We're now deeply entrenched in the beginnings of U.S. history. I'm just doing an overview up through the Revolution, up through past the Revolutionary War. And I've got a couple videos on that. But I've been struggling with U.S. history, and I prefer not to struggle with U.S. history and then have Morgan struggle with U.S. history. So until I get that right, we're going to do what is required of us and then move on. And I want to do something much more robust later. But in the meantime, we had been doing the Story of the World, Volume 1. Just love this. And again, we were going to finish here. And maybe we will, maybe we won't. I just don't care. Maybe we'll do it through summer or pick it up when we're ready to start our studies again. Now, Babel we had started with Rosetta Stone. It was just too glitchy. We moved on to Babel, and it wasn't the right fit for Morgan this year. I found she was also doing Duolingo. I was having her do both at the same time to see which one she liked. And Babel lost and Duolingo won. Now, Duolingo, as you know, if you watch my French videos, that's not a whole program. But Duolingo, these types of apps are fantastic for certain things. And what we use Duolingo for, let's see, I'm not sure if here's her Duolingo. What we use, this is what she does every day. She does 20 minutes a day. And so that's how many 20 minutes a day she's done, or 20-minute days she's done. And we use Duolingo because it increases her memory recall. Oh, I even wrote it here. Look at that. I'm doing it verbatim. It increases her memory recall while working on other French areas. And so Duolingo tracks at its own pace, not alongside what she's learning in other French areas. And so what I have found is that it keeps her current on grammar. It keeps her comfortable seeing, reading, hearing, and also focuses in on things that maybe she hasn't had before, so that when she does in other studies, she's really quick to go, oh, I know that. I've done that. I did that in Duolingo. So Duolingo to us is supplementary and I think very important. It's not a supplementary that we can just lose. It's really something that we're going to keep up for the foreseeable future. Let's see, we did math here. Okay, so personal workbooks in French. Every day that Morgan works on her personal workbook, whatever that workbook is, I mark it off because I really like to see that we are doing a regular every day. So some of these are, for instance, with, let's see, there's so few here, right? There's 31, but it's 31 chapters of the book that has, I think, 43 chapters. And we don't do this every day the way we do our workbook for French. We do a chapter or two a week and then spend the rest of the week studying the chapter, and then we do the little quiz on it. So each one of these is measured in a different way. Sometimes this will be a chapter, and let's see, the Matthew C will be measured in the lesson. The Good and the Beautiful science units are measured by the chapter, and Duolingo is measured by 20-minute intervals. So each one of these blocks means something different for each one of these subjects. But I like to see, I know what they mean to me. So that, for instance, when we, let's see, there was world history, when we get to things like, we did etiquette here and character development, and this was 6 weeks long. And so that's by weeks. And then interestingly, this is by chapters, because this health unit, this is the etiquette unit, and the health unit is the good and the beautiful. And these are chapters in the health unit. And then here is poetry. There's only 13 because she's memorized 13 poems. Geography we didn't do, mainly because it was so wrapped up, I found, in the Story of the World, Volume 1, that we just didn't need this geography. Morgan was just really doing really well with geography and understanding it without having the 4th grade geography that I had planned to do. But this also had involved compass use and map orienteering, and we didn't do that in Story of the World. That's something that we can easily do later on and is a priority for when we kind of feel well-rounded in geography and know that we've done well. I have to do well here. My sister's an expert in geography and got her master's in it, so I don't have any excuses here or I'll get in trouble. Let's see, and space as well. So I broke these out. These are unit studies. So it seems empty here, but we did the full space unit. We did the full geology unit. We didn't get to weather, and that's okay. We're firmly ensconced in our North Dakota studies. We're working on that all this month and really enjoying it. And I think that's kind of it for how I look at things and how I view them here with our book. I hope that helped explain what it is that we do. And sometimes it's whatever it is on paper, it's not what it is in reality. And so I want to impress upon everyone the lack of stress that we have in our day of there's no such thing as being behind, or she should be here, or I should be here. We both like school, and that helps. But we like school because we do it the way we like. And it doesn't mean we just do anything we want, but we find creative ways to make sure that all of the things that we are doing are just really interesting to us, and it works. So I hope whatever you're doing in your homeschool, you're having a wonderful time doing it. Thanks for watching. See ya.